Imagine you're tracking an animal. You've been walking for hours. The sun is high, the ground is hot. Your tribe hasn't had a successful hunt in days. Children are hungry. Everyone is depending on what happens next. And then your period starts. No bathroom, no pads, no painkillers, no spare clothes, no way to call it a day and try again tomorrow. Just blood, miles from camp, in a world where survival doesn't care what your body is doing. So what happened? Did women stop hunting? Did they stay behind? Did prehistoric tribes simply accept that half their population became unavailable every month? The answer is far stranger than most people realize, because the first thing we need to question is whether ancient women even had periods as often as modern women do. And that changes everything. Most modern women experience roughly 400 periods across their lifetime. That number feels normal to us. But for most of human history, it wasn't. Ancient women often entered puberty later. They became pregnant more frequently. They breastfed for much longer, and extended breastfeeding naturally suppresses ovulation, which means many prehistoric women may have spent large portions of their adult lives either pregnant or nursing. Some researchers estimate that women in traditional hunter-gatherer societies experienced dramatically fewer menstrual cycles than women living in industrial societies today. Think about that for a second. The image we often imagine, a cave woman dealing with monthly periods exactly like a modern office worker, might already be wrong. The body itself was operating under very different conditions. But even if periods were less frequent, they still happened. And that's where things get interesting. Picture a prehistoric hunting party. What do you see? Most people imagine men carrying spears, women staying near camp. It's one of the most common images in popular culture. The problem is that evidence keeps making that picture harder to defend. In 2020, archaeologists studying a burial site in the Andes Mountains discovered a young woman buried with a sophisticated hunting toolkit, projectile points, animal processing tools, equipment associated with big game hunting. Then researchers looked at similar burials and found something surprising. A significant number of individuals buried with hunting tools appeared to be female. Not one, not an exception, a pattern. This doesn't prove that every woman hunted. It doesn't prove men and women did exactly the same tasks. But it does challenge the idea that hunting was exclusively male, and it raises an uncomfortable question. If some women were hunting, then what happened when one of them got her period? Here's where modern thinking can mislead us. Today, we often separate biology from survival. If we're exhausted, we rest. If we're uncomfortable, we stop. If something hurts, we can usually postpone whatever we're doing. Ancient humans didn't have that luxury. The animal didn't care. Winter didn't care. Hunger didn't care. A hunting expedition could represent the difference between eating and not eating, which means survival groups became extremely adaptable. If someone was injured, roles shifted. If someone was carrying a child, roles shifted. If conditions changed, strategies changed. The idea that an entire hunting effort would simply stop because one person started menstruating doesn't fit what we know about survival societies. A woman experiencing cramps might move slower. She might take on a different role. She might focus on tracking, watching, processing food, carrying supplies, or she might continue exactly as planned. Because survival doesn't reward rigid systems, it rewards flexibility, and flexibility may have been one of humanity's greatest strengths. Now let's talk about the question everyone wonders about, the blood. Would predators smell it? Would it attract danger? At first glance, that sounds obvious. Blood equals predators. Case closed. But reality is more complicated. The prehistoric world was already filled with smells: sweat, smoke, animal hides, meat, injuries, waste, fire. Human groups didn't smell like modern humans stepping out of a shower. They smelled like survival. And menstrual blood was only one scent among many. The bigger danger wasn't necessarily the blood itself. The bigger danger was simply existing in a world full of predators. Every member of the group faced that risk. Every day. Period or not. But maybe we've been asking the wrong question. Maybe the interesting question isn't, what happened if a woman got her period during a hunt? Maybe the interesting question is, what kind of species survives situations like that at all? Think about the number of things working against prehistoric humans: injury, disease, pregnancy, childbirth, periods, predators, starvation, exposure, and yet somehow they continued, generation after generation, for hundreds of thousands of years, not because conditions were ideal, because they adapted again and again and again. Modern life makes survival look clean. Ancient life wasn't. It was messy. Bodies failed, people got sick, children cried, hunters came home empty-handed, women got their periods. And the world kept moving. That's the part we often forget. The remarkable thing isn't that prehistoric women menstruated. The remarkable thing is that humanity survived despite everything, not because the human body was perfect, but because humans became extraordinarily good at adapting when it wasn't. So the next time you imagine ancient life, don't imagine superheroes. Imagine ordinary people dealing with extraordinary circumstances, because that's probably much closer to the truth, and somehow it was enough.